What's going on, Matt? Matt, can you hear me? Hey, Matt? Matt.
You got audio?
I got audio.
I can't hear you.
That's on your end. I can hear you.
Here we go.
How's that?
Good. I should turn my volume up.
Yeah, I hear music in the background coming through, probably.
Well, I am live from the Blowing Rock Ale House out on the porch with a beer on Thursday afternoon. Cold as a mofo.
Gotcha. You got a little bit of what we got last week. So, everybody, welcome to Lunch with Lumbermen live with Matt Lehman from, where are you from, Matt? You said what
Blowing
location?
Rock, Blowing Rock Ale House in Blowing Rock, North Carolina.
There we go. And I'm live from Chicago. This is Materials Exchange, mxlumber.com, the first, the only, the best digital exchange, moving lumber, OSB, and plywood all over North America, matching, shipping, and moving the money. So, Matt, let's jump right into it. Read your reports. Both of them really good. Market conversation since last week. The market's kind of moving all over the place. I just got a call before we got on, and it's interesting as we're doing more of these live calls. I get people that say, "Hey, can you talk about this on your show or talk about that on your show?"
Right.
And it's like, it's funny. So I got a call from a guy, great guy, runs a yard. I'm not going to say who it is, but he has VMI programs for OSB. So he's supposed to get a shipment of OSB every week based on a contract price of a print price, right? But he said it's odd for the last 3 weeks he hasn't got his contract lumber.
Yeah.
And he was wondering if mills would ever not send the contract lumber but yet sell into the spot market at a higher price. Would that ever happen?
Something I heard this morning too in the South. I hope that music's not too loud in the background, but I've heard that VMIs from all over the country are about 25% below target. One guy told me that his VMI with Lowe's, for example, would not catch up all year long. He's so far behind. And I think it's a mix of some COVID stuff and some transportation issues, but they're just unable to VMIs unable to keep up with what their commitments were. But it's certainly there's a supply shortage all the way through. And the one thing that every buyer that I've talked to has in common, they all have something they need to buy or want to buy for the remainder of the spring. Now, whether it's for March, April, May, or whatever long it is, everybody's looking to buy. Nobody's looking to liquidate.
Yeah. So interesting. So last night we're sitting here 6 o'clock at night or 5:30. The exchange is now open 7 days a week, 6 till 6 in the morning, Central, 6 at night. We get a call all the way over from like New Mexico and Idaho. People need OSB, and these are people that belong to some of the big buyers. We shipped OSB from Dallas, Texas, all the way out to Utah. Was one example. We shipped OSB from Massachusetts down to Florida.
That's crazy.
Mike and I just sat here a few minutes ago. We thought our freight was wrong. We just matched a load from Idaho to Georgia.
Yes, I can see that.
Think about that.
Yeah, just think of all the suppliers you go past.
It's insane.
All the mills you go past to get from that origin to destination.
There is a big disconnect with what's going on in the bricks and mortar call around OSB contract spot market, because we're filling in the gaps everywhere. We did like 25 loads of OSB yesterday. Not one mill sold on it. It was all distributors, retail yards, and other facilities moving OSB, filling in from one point to another.
That's what everybody's been looking at the futures market lately, saying, how in the world can futures be down $300? And you talk about a disconnect, Ash. That's something you really can't even look at futures and say that's got anything to do with the lumber market.
Right.
It's just so it's like a whole different exchange source of supply or whatever. But it's just, I encourage you guys that are watching the futures market, and then you get on the phone and try to find lumber. I was just talking to the guy a minute ago. It's a truss manufacturer in North Carolina, and he said, I didn't buy much. I bought 7 loads from 4 different mills. I said, if you had to buy 20, what would happen? He said, no way. I couldn't even quote it because I couldn't get 7 trucks from one mill for 3 week shipment, and that included some of the large mills like Canfor and Westlaser and some of the big guys in the South. But they couldn't even quote 7 truckloads, and the prices are getting a little sloppy, and that's got something to do with the January chaos that we talked about. Just the sloppy spell where people are dropping off of the market to just watch it and look and see what's happening. Mills show a little short wood, a little extra wood because the order files aren't legitimately 4 weeks out. But I think it's a real trap to think this market's peaking right here and going to fall off, because February is a rising month 91% of the time over the last 22 years. And you gotta stick with the statistics.
Yeah, I thought it was just crazy. I looked at that trade, that OSB one that matched, and I'm like, my God, that shouldn't happen. Our supply chain is broken in our industry when that stuff starts matching like that, right? But that also shows why a digital exchange like Materials Exchange is going to basically disrupt a market, and it should, because it helps everybody become better. We fill in the holes, right?
I was listening to Greg say yesterday. It's like, I don't know if he's almost exclusive, but it sounds like his primary source of selling is the exchange. Because why not? Why not put your lumber up there and let somebody look at it that you wouldn't even think about calling? I mean, Idaho to Georgia, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, we got 10 trucks of Euro 2330 seconds OSB up. We've got people all the way out in Western Mountain State looking to bring that out. People that normally use full-faced OSB, since they can't get it, they're willing to take scant all the way out there and use it. So it's exciting because their normal connections can't connect on that, right? Which is excellent. So Matt, I want to also talk about good note you sent me today about. Let's talk about the anticipated January chaos and why we should expect a February underbought rally. And when you say that, I got a text from a big pine buyer the other day that feels the same way, on big truss buyer. Right. And I think to have this conversation, let's have Nick bring up your 12-month forecast chart on the bottom down here. Nick, if you're listening to me, if you could bring it up. Nick's working remote right now, so hopefully he can bring that up. If not, there we go. So Matt, let's talk about the chart and the anticipated January chaos, which I think you kind of highlighted in the yellow there.
Yeah, I mean, it's doing exactly what it's expected to do, which is get a little sloppy. It makes the buyers want to get a little apprehensive and think they're going to get some kind of deal. And you look around and you go, well, I bought 4 or 5 trucks for a little bit of a discount instead of paying $150 over random or print. I was able to buy them at print. That feels like a good little sloppy spot. But it's just nothing abnormal. The market's following that FTP, forecasted decision points trend, just like expected. But you can look and see that it only lasts through the end of January, first week of February, and then we move higher. My concern about this market is we see that the forecasted decision high point is week number 20. I think February is going to be an incredibly strong month that people are going to get way bought out, way ahead. And I think we can see this market peak at week number 10 or beginning of March rather than the beginning of May. It's just so much lumber that's pre-bought and bought ahead. All the wood that's in warehouses. Everybody says, you hear conversations about warehouses and reloads being stuffed to the gills. That's lumber that's bought for April and May. It's wood that's not going to, it's orders that's not going to show up in April and May because it's already bought for. And my contention is that 1.3 million housing completions, 1.8 million starts, about 1.5 million worth of production in the lumber market is overproduced for the amount of completions that we can do. It's underproduced for the amount of starts and permits that we're trying to do, but you can't do 1.8 million completions. So we're buying and planning for 1.8. We're only going to do 1.3. So I think the market is overbought and overproduced.
Yeah, agreed. You just brought up a good point. Where is the lumber at right now, right? So you talk to people down at Reloads. Reloads have a lot of wood in them, Texas, some other places.
Everybody's got it. Everybody's got lumber.
Yeah, but a lot of distributors have a lot of their bought cars sold, right?
Yeah, everybody's got lumber, but all that lumber's sold, which is, if you think about it, then where's the next buy coming from? The next buy's got to come from a builder who says, I'll take some April and March wood, because everybody's bought for and committed for their February, March orders. The only thing that's hanging out there is like, what's everybody going to do now for April and May? Can you buy April and May wood? It's just wood that you're going to have to buy and sit on, and incredibly risky. And I just tell people all the time, do not buy 6-week shipment. It's just too far out of reach. I'd rather see you take a chance on being a little bit out of wood and have to buy some spot market wood than 6-week wood. The mills are quoting 6 weeks with 3 weeks or 4 weeks with 3 weeks worth of late time built in. No cancellation clauses. That's just a suicide trip. Wouldn't touch it.
You know what, Matt? That almost was choreographed to "My Guitar Gently Weeps" in the background while you said that. I almost
I know.
cried.
I hear.
It's like, are you talking about 6 weeks? That's awesome. So another thing that I noticed on the exchange this week, and we had the most logins every week for the last 3 weeks, which means Ryan, Nick, Mike, Doge, everybody, Bob, we're doing our job to get new people, but people are starting to really look for other ways to buy wood because one thing I heard is some of the DCs don't have enough wood in some places for their salespeople to sell, right? So wood's at certain places and not at others. You mentioned last week that there was a big mill that sold. What was that whole thing in the mill last week that you were talking about?
500 cars.
Yeah,
They've been suppliers. I mean, the contract yard has been begging for multiple hundreds of carloads since the beginning of the year, and all of a sudden last week, one mill sold to, and it wasn't to a big contractor yard. It was to multiple medium-sized contractor yards, home centers. It was spread out all over the place. They sold 500 cars, but nobody got 100 cars. Everybody got 25, 50, that kind of thing. It didn't satisfy the need, and it just happened to be. And the number I think was over $1,200, and the numbers today are still the same prices, even though these futures fall $300 in a week. The cash market's not falling with it. It's intimidated by the futures market, but it's certainly not. There's no abundance of supply out there, and there's still the builders aren't backing off. There's been no price rejection anywhere. This is just this January chaos. It's just
yeah.
an uncertain time when people are just laying back, getting sloppy. Every day they don't buy, that just means they're more and more underbought for February. And I think we got a really good shot of seeing $2,000 2x4s in February by the end of February.
Let's flip over to the Southern Yellow Pine chart while I talk about it. So we've got a lot of people now, like a lot of distributors getting on listing Southern Yellow Pine locations because some of the Southern Pine mills that don't want to get on, they're like, heck, we'll do it for them right on the exchange. No problem. But all of a sudden today I see a whole bunch more pine up. Last week I saw it mostly 2x6 and 2x10 showing up. 2x4 still out there, still high price, but I guess the mills are going to some of their select people first, looking to move it. But what do you hear on 4-inch, Matt? You're the expert on pine a lot. What's your feedback?
Well, here's the thing: lump it all together. When you say a lot of Southern pine, you see 4 or 5 trucks offered by one mill, and another mill's got. These things are still 2 and 3 weeks shipment.
I'm talking before when there was zero up, right, for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, there's zero up, but now all of a sudden they're showing 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks. Nobody's showing 20 trucks, but it's still through 2 to 3 weeks shipment. It's just mills seeing that soft spot in their order file where they sold 4 weeks out and 50% of production. So naturally, a little bit. I mean, wood's got to show. It's just not going to be invisible forever. So they get caught up a little bit. You show a bunch, but I challenge anybody to go out there and tell me one mill offering them 20 truckloads of something. I'd be surprised to see that happen anywhere.
Yeah, it's always tough though. Mills, when a market does, I'm not saying anything's rolling over because you never know. It's a future sell-off first, but there's a rule that futures leads cash. Mills are usually the last ones to get bearish, right? Because they hold on to that belief and they've got an order file for a long time, right? So we'll see if something else happens. Judy Johnson, thank you. Anybody else using the app? So far, so good. Great to have it on my phone. We rolled out the.
I just saw a message, Ash, that Hal Bumby had made a comment, and I couldn't see what it was. Could you see what it was?
Which one are you talking about?
Hal Bumby from Maine Wood Treaters said something about us. Made a comment about Meg.
Was that on YouTube or on LinkedIn? Let me see if I can see it here. I don't see it on.
It might have just been. It might have been a message to me, like a private message to me, so I didn't see it. But
I got you. So we just launched our app. The other thing, make sure you sign up on our LinkedIn site and our YouTube site. You can click below if there's a link on that and hit it so you can get these every week.
I want to encourage you. I want to pop something in here too. Actually, for the last couple of weeks, I've really been aggressive about trying to expose Materials Exchange to my subscriber base, my membership base, and more are coming on and taking a look. And if you guys haven't done this yet, you got nothing to lose just try it and look and see, because you can see that when there's a supply disruption and there's things that you can't find anywhere else, like just Ash says, when you ship all the way across the United States back against the grain, nothing's really out of bounds. You just got to, don't think that things won't fit, or that are out of bounds or out of limits. Just give it a shot, look and see. And I'm not trying to plug Materials Exchange. I'm trying to help you guys find another source of supply when things are tough.
Look at Matt. I was talking to a pretty big investor today, and he was asking us our value proposition and all that. And when I explained to him a load of OSB going like that, I explained it to him. You could see his eyes light up, because this guy has built 7 markets. He's retired now, an old ex-CEO, and he's like, okay. He goes, I get it now. You're basically taking a product and driving past all kinds of places that have that product, and in the current method of buying and selling, never see that. He goes, you're on the right track. It's exactly what you should be doing. And he goes, that means that you're on the way. So that was good to hear. But yeah, Matt, you've been a big supporter of ours and pushing us along. Let's bring up the OSB chart real quick. I'm not going to show everything Matt has, because I do want you to sign up for the Layman's Lumber Guide. And Matt, real quick, how do they sign up for your lumber guide again, since there's a lot of new users on here?
Laymansguide.com, and you got to take a 2-month free trial to make sure you like it. It's just,
yeah.
I want to make you money before I ask for your money. So it's real easy. Just laymansguide.com. Click any link and you'll find an opportunity to get a 2-month free trial, and no strings attached. I'm not going to wear you out with emails, but it's like the whole purpose of this session today that Ash and I do every week, and other guys, is we just want to really try to inform you and help you. It's not like this market's gotten so tough that you don't want to. We're trying not to keep our information secret and hoard it. We just really want to be helpful to everybody, and I'm not trying to step on the toes of my membership or the people who are active in the exchange. But it's just something everybody should be aware of. And
yeah, a little Led Zeppelin in the background. If you see,
I think I'm going to stick with the music in the future.
well, we would like to put in a request. Bill Jazeera, do you see value in buying lumber for 6 weeks, 8 weeks out or later if discounted? I guess my answer to that is, how much of a discount, Bill? Right? I mean, because
why is it discounted?
But I get what you're asking. I guess the question is, how big of a discount? Because I guess the place to start is CME futures plus or minus the discount of the historical 2-year average of that product, right? So I don't know. It depends. I guess right now in this kind of market with uncertainty, there's all kinds of good deals to be had at certain places, but there's all kinds of willing buyers to buy it too. This is probably a wholesale dream right now for people in this market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the difficulty about this whole market right now is not being able to source the lumber; it's being able to get the lumber. If you notice, on my second page of today's report, we talked about the Freedom Convoy that's going on up in.
Yeah, man, I saw a picture. That's like 50,000 truckers, right, in Canada.
It's 50,000 trucks, and it's supposed to be, by the time they get through, 150,000 vehicles. And it's just, when you look at the pictures, you see pickup trucks and campers and all kinds of crap. But there's apparently, I heard yesterday that it's like my transportation editor Jerica Harris is kind of on top of it. She says the social media is really kind of blowing things out of proportion, but there's legitimately thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the side of the road in Canada cheering the truckers on, and the convoy is supposed to be 150,000 people on January the 29th, arriving in Ottawa, looking for the reversal of the mandate. But there's a political message behind it that they want more than that. They're really looking for Justin Trudeau to resign. So it's gotten, there's a big political component, but it's getting sympathetic support from vaccinated drivers, unvaccinated drivers, U.S. drivers. I heard a convoy left South Carolina of 20,000 vehicles headed towards Ottawa to participate. So it's going to be a big showdown to see what happens. But the bottom line is, for us in the lumber business, is you can expect over the next week or so to have a truck shortage of trucks that need to go back and forth across the Canadian border. It's just not
Are
going to
they
happen.
hauling full or empty up there out of Georgia? I wonder.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
I would imagine if you're paying for fuel, you're probably going to haul empty.
Somebody just put 900 volume on the CME today. Judy, exactly. The convoy, small percentage of truckers in the convoy, not even an event here in British Columbia. What constitutes that number? 900 volume in CME today. What constitutes that number?
But if you look and see what happened to price, it went for like a $75 range from right on the opening. So it was up a little in the beginning. It sold off to almost limit down, and back up again. It's just all over. I think, Judy, the answer is a lot of people just wanting to get out, but 900 volume is absurd. We've been looking at, like yesterday, day before, you're thinking about 137, 150 volume. But when you're locked limit, you just can't get out. So we probably found the first day in 6 days of trading, the market hasn't locked limit at near the open, and it's just an opportunity for people to get out, whether they're long, short, or whatever. But probably I would imagine there's a lot of people buying the futures market at this $300 discount to cash, or $200
Hey,
discount to cash.
one of the things too is everybody has to remember that the CME contract becomes less and less important every year when there's less production of that product and more production of other species, right? The fact that open interest isn't
Yeah,
at 5,000, kind of, if you think about 1,900 open interest, that's a drop in the bucket of what the annual production is. So relative to other commodities that trade,
yeah.
it's a tiny contract. Except I don't know what the
And
things are. 20.
even last year, we had open interest of 5,000, and now we're down to 2,000. It's just people say, like, well, go buy your future needs off the futures market in May and July contracts. Where you look at that and you see 10 open interest, you can't cover that stuff. That's just it's
Yeah,
kind of it's
one of
a
the
good
things.
idea in theory, but it doesn't happen.
20 people trade it and 3,000 people talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look at great conversation today, Matt. Any final thoughts before we close it out? Going up against our half an hour here.
I just think you just don't get sucked into thinking this market's over. It's not. There's just the builders still have a lot to do. They still have a lot to buy, and if they're willing to buy out for March and April and May, they're going to do that. But I still believe that buying that far out is robbing from the future, and we're going to peak early.
Yeah. Well, good idea. I don't know. I just when I see the amount of volume going through the platform right now through mxlumber.com and the paths it's taking, I realize that there's a scramble out there for certain items into certain places. Some have a lot, some don't have enough, but it's filling the hole in the sand like at the beach, right? Does that make sense? It's
Yeah,
finding its level. So Matt,
yeah.
look at again, great.
Panic.
Layman's Lumber Guide, Matt Layman, glad to have you this week. Looking forward to next week. And thank you everybody for taking your time out of the day to noon to listen to us guys chat about lumber and our ideas. We'll look forward to you next week. Come to
I noticed.
mxlumber.com.
I noticed my face is frozen, like I have a surprised look on my face, but that's
It
it's just
looks
a
good,
lot.
man. You're good. All right, everybody. Everybody have a great day.
See you guys. Thanks.